You ever hear someone say a little too quickly, take your time? That was Leah last Thursday night. I just called her from the garage to say the site run was taking longer than expected. Some equipment jammed up on the new build, and my crew was stuck half an hour behind. She answered quick, chipper, almost rehearsed. Oh no, that's fine, babe. Just take your time. I'll order food and throw something on Netflix. That phrase, take your time, too clean, too fast, too calm. I didn't say anything at the time, just said okay and hung up. But the second I did, I had this pit in my chest. Not pain, not fear, just a low, familiar heat. The kind you get when a storm's building but the sky hasn't broken yet. I didn't tell the crew I was leaving. I just clocked out and left. Something told me not to go home the usual way. So I parked 2 streets over and walked the last block to our house. Quiet, dark neighborhood. Motion lights on timers. Nothing out of the ordinary, until I saw it. A black Honda Accord. Parked 3 houses down from mine. Didn't belong to a neighbor. Didn't belong to any delivery driver I recognized. But I recognized the decal on the back window. Tommy's Gym. Leah used to go there. Used to. She stopped 3 months ago. Said she was tired of gym guys staring. I believed her. Maybe I shouldn't have. I walked the rest of the way slow. Careful. I wasn't ready to make noise. I just wanted confirmation. Her car was in the driveway. House lights were low. Blinds half drawn. But the front window, the one next to the TV, the curtains weren't pulled all the way. I stepped up onto the grass and paused. What I saw was her, sitting on the couch, laughing, in shorts, hair tied up, no food in sight, no Netflix. And the guy next to her, shirtless. They weren't touching, not yet, but her body was angled toward him in that way people lean into something they're familiar with, like gravity had chosen for her. I stood there a full 2 minutes, watching, not spying, not stalking, just witnessing the truth unfiltered. Then I stepped back onto the sidewalk, pulled out my phone, and hit record. The record button glowed red on my screen, steady, silent, cold. I didn't move, didn't blink, just held the phone low, filming through that slim opening between the curtains. Every second that passed tightened the knot in my gut, but I didn't look away. Leah leaned in closer. He touched her knee. She didn't pull back, and then she laughed. Head back, eyes soft, like I hadn't existed a single day in her life. That laugh, God, that laugh, it wasn't just noise. It was a knife, because I'd heard it before. In our kitchen, in our bed, in the moments when she'd said, I love how safe I feel with you. Now she was giving that same sound, that same energy, to someone else. The man leaned forward, said something I couldn't hear. She covered her mouth like a schoolgirl. Then she hit him with a pillow. It was a scene straight out of a bad romantic comedy. Except it was happening in my house. After about a minute, I stopped recording. I'd seen enough. And suddenly, I felt very, very calm. Not because I wasn't hurting. I was. But because the fire was so hot it had turned quiet. Still. Like the moment right before a tornado touches down and flattens everything. I circled back to the truck and sat there, hands shaking just enough to spill the truth down into my bones. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at the house from 2 blocks away, letting the weight of her lie settle over me. And then I started making calls. First to James, my longtime friend and divorce attorney. Left him a voicemail. Need to start the process. Got video. I'm done. Second, to Aaron, my brother. Just 1 sentence. She's doing it in our house, man. He didn't ask who. He didn't ask what. He just said, I'll be there tomorrow. That night, I didn't go back. Didn't walk in and confront her. Didn't give her the drama she probably thought I'd deliver if I ever found out. Instead, I drove 20 minutes out to Aaron's cabin. Old wood, cold fridge, no Wi-Fi, perfect. I sat on the porch with a beer, staring at the woods, thinking about all the times I'd given her the benefit of the doubt. All the nights I stayed late at work just to afford her comfort. All the Sundays she said she was tired but not tired enough to be texting Jimboy behind my back. It wasn't just betrayal. It was disrespect. And that was worse. The next morning, I woke up to 5 missed texts from Leah. Hey, where are you? Everything okay? You never came home last night. I'm worried. Did something happen at work? Please say something. It was almost laughable. She wasn't worried. She was checking the perimeter, seeing if the lie held or if the dam cracked. I didn't reply. Later that afternoon, I forwarded the video to my own email, saved it to a drive, and sent a copy to James with the subject line, Exhibit A. Then I finally answered her. Me, Don't worry. I'm safe. But we're done. You'll be hearing from my attorney. Don't call me. 10 minutes of silence. Then a flood of messages. Wait, what's going on? Why are you acting like this? Are you serious right now? Can we just talk? And finally, who told you something? Because they're lying. That one made me laugh out loud. Even now, facing a truth caught in 4K, her instinct was to deflect. Not own it. Not apologize. Just dodge. I powered off the phone. Then I turned to the cabin wall where Aaron had hung a plaque years ago. I never paid it much attention until now. It read, "The man who walks away isn't weak. He's the one who refused to burn with what already died." Yeah, that hit different now. Because Leah's lies didn't just kill our marriage. They buried the man I used to be. The morning after I sent the message to Leah, the one where I told her we were done, she showed up at the cabin. I wasn't surprised. I was halfway through a cup of coffee when Murphy, Aaron's shepherd mix, perked up and growled low at the window. I followed his gaze, and sure enough, there she was. Leah, still in her sneakers, hair tied up, same hoodie I'd watched her wear on the couch next to another man. I didn't go out. Let her knock. 3 short taps. Then silence. Then 5 more. Finally, I stepped outside. She looked at me like I was a stranger. And honestly, I felt like one. "Colton," she said, "can we talk?" I leaned against the doorframe. "We're already talking." Her voice trembled. "I don't know what you think you saw." "No," I cut her off. "Don't start there." She blinked. "I know exactly what I saw. You on the couch. Him shirtless. You laughing like I never existed. I've got it all. It's done." Her lips parted, but no sound came out. "You don't need to lie, Leah," I said. "Not anymore. You've already told your story with your actions." "I didn't sleep with him," she said quickly. Desperately. I tilted my head. "So that makes it okay?" "It wasn't like that. I needed to feel something." That word, feel. Like I hadn't spent years giving her everything. Like I hadn't worn myself down to a damn nub making sure she never went without. And now, because she got bored, I was supposed to accept it as some kind of emotional crisis. She kept talking. "I thought you were drifting. You were always working. Always tired. I didn't know how to reach you anymore. And instead of talking to me," I said, "you invited someone else into our home." Tears welled up. The kind she knew would move me before. The kind I used to drop everything to fix. But not now. "Was he the first?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. "Too long." "No," she whispered. "That was it. My heart didn't break. It just stopped bothering to beat for her." I nodded, slow. "Then thank you." Her brows furrowed. "For what?" "For finally giving me a reason to stop wondering if it was all in my head. You just handed me peace, Leah. You don't even know it." She took a step forward. "I made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made a pattern. And now you get to live with it." She wiped her cheek. "Do you really mean it? It's over." I looked her dead in the eye. "You ended it. I'm just finishing the paperwork." I didn't yell. I didn't throw her out. I just turned, walked back inside, and closed the door. Murphy wagged his tail once and returned to his spot on the rug. The world didn't shake. The sky didn't fall. But something deep inside me, something heavy and old, finally slid off my shoulders. An hour later, Aaron came by. I told him everything, showed him the video, told him what she admitted on the porch. He didn't say much. Just nodded, then opened a beer and handed it to me. "You handled that better than most," he said. "I had no choice. She's not mine anymore." "You still love her?" I thought about it. "No," I said. "I just missed the man I used to be when I thought she did." That night, I packed a bag and drove back into town. Not to see her. Not to go home. To see James. We met at his office around 8:15 p.m. The place was dark except for his desk lamp and a pile of open files. "You sure?" he asked as I handed him the final documents. "Yeah. I'm done." He looked them over. "You've got everything. Timeline, video, admission. You're walking out with clean hands and full custody if she doesn't fight." "She won't," I said. "She doesn't want the responsibility. She just wanted a distraction." He slid the papers into a folder. "I'll file in the morning. This could be quick. Might even surprise you." "I've had enough surprises," I muttered. James leaned back. "You know, I've seen guys come in here wrecked, drunk, crying, begging me to tell them it's not real. But you're different." "I'm not trying to fix what's broken," I said. "I'm trying to build something new." He smiled. "Then let's get you there." And in that moment, I felt it for the first time in weeks. Control. Not over her. Over my life. The divorce papers were filed on a Tuesday morning. James texted me a confirmation. Filed. Time-stamped. You're free now. Unless she contests. I stared at those last 3 words. Unless she contests. But I knew Leah wouldn't. She wouldn't put in the work. Wouldn't show up to defend a marriage she'd already stepped out of. The fight wasn't in her, not for the truth, not for us, and sure as hell not for consequences. Still, I braced myself for noise. What I didn't expect was silence. She didn't call, didn't text, didn't send some guilt-laced message asking if we could talk one more time. She was gone. And as strange as it sounds, that silence. It was the first gift she'd given me in years. That week, I focused on Ryan. He didn't know everything yet. Just that his mom was staying somewhere else for a while, and that we were figuring out what comes next. He didn't ask much. But he clung tighter when I dropped him off at school. Stayed quieter during dinners. Watched the front door a little longer each evening before finally letting out a sigh and turning back to his cartoons. Kids always know, even when they don't say it. Friday night, he and I had movie night, pizza, popcorn, the works. Halfway through the film, he turned to me and said, "Did Mom leave 'cause of me?" I hit pause without hesitation. "No," I said firmly. "She left because she made choices that hurt our family. You had nothing to do with it, not even a little." He blinked hard, the way kids do when they're trying not to cry. "But she always said we were her world." "I think she meant that," I said. "But meaning something and living it out are 2 different things." He nodded, wiped his eyes with the sleeve of his hoodie, and leaned into me. And just like that, I knew what this fight was really about. Not revenge. Not justice. Legacy. Making sure my son knew what a man looks like when the world falls apart. Making sure he grows up knowing the difference between forgiveness and foolishness. Making sure he never confuses being strong with staying silent. That Sunday, I got a call from a mutual friend, Nicole, someone who used to be closer to Leah but had always treated me with respect. "I didn't want to get involved," she said, "but I think you should know, she's already moved in with him." I was quiet for a beat. "That the guy from the gym?" "Yeah." She said it just made sense. Said she didn't want to be alone. Of course she didn't. She never did. "Thanks for telling me," I said. "I'm sorry, Colton. You deserved better." "I know," I said. "But I'm finally giving it to myself." After we hung up, I didn't spiral. I didn't drink. I didn't drive over there like some bitter ex with something left to prove. I just grabbed a wrench from the garage and went to work on my old pickup. Changed the oil. Rotated the tires. Replaced a headlight. And somewhere between removing the filter and tightening the last bolt, I realized. I was done grieving. Not because the pain disappeared, but because I stopped feeding it. Leah had made her bed. Now she was lying in it. And me? I was rebuilding mine. Solid, clean, and finally without ghosts under the sheets. That night, I made Ryan pancakes for dinner and let him dump way too much syrup on top. He laughed harder than I'd heard in weeks. I snapped a photo, him mid-bite, mouth sticky, eyes lit up. Later, I printed it and taped it to the fridge. Because that smile, that's what I was fighting for. A month passed. The papers sat in a drawer, finalized, signed, stamped, done. The house didn't feel like hers anymore. I changed the locks, painted the bedroom, boxed up anything she left behind. I didn't burn it, didn't smash it, just packed it neatly, labeled it coldly, and dropped it off at her sister's with a one-line text. "It's all yours." "I'm not." No reply. Good. Every day after that was one brick added to a wall between who I used to be and who I was becoming. And Emma? She kept showing up. Not like some rebound, not like a fix-it project. Just, steady. We didn't rush into anything romantic, but I started to see it in her eyes. The way she looked at me when I was helping Ryan with his math. The way she smiled when I made dinner and accidentally oversalted the potatoes. The way she laughed when I told stories from the garage, even the boring ones. We weren't dating, but we were definitely becoming something. It was a Friday afternoon when I asked if she wanted to join me and Ryan for a hike up Willow Ridge, our old weekend tradition that had gone dormant when things with Leah started unraveling. She hesitated. "You sure he's ready for that?" "He asked if you were coming," I said. "So yeah." She smiled. "Then I'd love to." The hike wasn't easy. Ryan complained after the first hill. Emma gave him a piggyback ride up half the second. I carried the snacks. Murphy darted in and out of the brush like a dog 10 years younger. At the top, we sat in silence. Just the 3 of us. Wind in our faces, the valley stretching below. Ryan turned to Emma. "You know, you're better at hiking than Mom. She chuckled. That's a low bar, huh? I stiffened, unsure if we should laugh at that. But Ryan did. A big, genuine, no holding back kind of laugh. And right then, I knew he was healing too. Later that night, after I'd put Ryan to bed, Emma stayed back to help me clean up. We moved slowly, side by side, brushing hands every few minutes. And then, as I was wiping down the counter, she said it. You're different now, Colton. I looked up. Better or worse? Lighter, she said. Like someone who stopped asking for permission to breathe. I set the towel down, took a breath, and said, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever get tired of holding back? She tilted her head. What do you mean? I think I've been waiting for the perfect moment to call this something, I said. But perfect moments are a lie. All I know is, when you're here, the house feels honest again. She stepped closer, eyes soft. I'm not asking for perfect, she said. I'm asking for real. So I kissed her. Not with fireworks. Not with desperation. Just real, present, earned. And she kissed me back. After she left that night, I stood by the window and watched her taillights fade into the dark. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like I was betraying anyone. I felt like I'd finally come home. But not to a place. To myself. 2 months passed. Life started to feel normal again. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't painless. But it was steady. Ryan and I had found our rhythm. Emma was a quiet but solid part of our days, no pressure to be something she wasn't ready to be, no expectations, just moments that felt easy and real. Even when Leah's name came up, mostly when Ryan asked about her or mentioned something she'd said or done, I didn't get that sick, tight feeling in my chest. The fire inside me had burned out. All that was left was the ashes, and I wasn't interested in letting those old embers light anything up again. One night, after Ryan was in bed, Emma and I sat on the couch, the TV playing softly in the background but neither of us paying much attention. We were tangled in each other's company, the kind of quiet where two people are comfortable just being in the same space. I think Ryan likes me, Emma said quietly, turning her head toward me. I smiled. I think so, too. She looked at me, eyes serious. I don't want to rush things. I just want to make sure he knows I'm not here to replace her. Or act like I'm the new mom. I reached out and took her hand. You're not replacing anyone. You're just here. And that's enough. Her thumb brushed over my knuckles. You sure? Because I feel like maybe I'm rushing you into something that's not your pace. I squeezed her hand gently. I'm not scared of pace. I'm scared of pretending. Pretending I'm still hung up on something that's already gone. Pretending I need someone to fix me. I don't need fixing. I need truth. And you've been real with me since the first time we sat down to talk. She smiled, her eyes soft. I like the way you talk about it. I like the way you make me feel about it, I said. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. I wasn't scared of love, or moving on. I wasn't carrying any more ghosts. I was just living in the present, and I had someone beside me who didn't ask for more than I could give. But even in this new calm, even with everything falling into place, Leah had a way of coming back into our lives, quietly, like smoke creeping through the cracks. That Friday, I got a call from Carrie, Leah's sister. Colton, she said when I answered. I know this might not be easy, but I need to let you know something. My stomach twisted. What? Leah's been asking about Ryan. I know she hasn't reached out to you, but she wants to see him this weekend. She's been going through a hard time. I didn't say anything. I just leaned against the wall, listening. She said she's been seeing someone, Carrie continued, and that she's trying to get her life together. I laughed softly, not out of humor, but out of disbelief. She's been getting her life together for months. She didn't think about Ryan when she made those choices. I know, Carrie said, but she's asking for one more chance. She doesn't want you to keep him from her. I closed my eyes and took a slow breath. I'm not keeping him from her. She's kept herself from him. From us. Carrie was quiet for a moment. Then, softly, you have every right to feel that way. But Ryan deserves to know her side, too. He deserves a chance to hear what she has to say. Let me think about it, I said, feeling the familiar tension building. But this time, it wasn't anger. It was a strange kind of resolve. After I hung up, I didn't rush into any decisions. Instead, I sat with it, let it settle. Ryan deserved to have answers. I wasn't going to shield him from the truth, but I also wasn't about to let him fall for the same lies I'd believed. I didn't want to fight Leah, but I also wasn't going to give her a free pass to make things right because she decided it was convenient. I had to think about what was right for Ryan, not her. That night, Emma and I sat down, and I told her everything. She didn't interrupt, didn't try to fix anything. She just listened. She understood. And when I was done, she asked, "What do you think Ryan needs?" I thought about it for a long moment. He needs honesty. He deserves to know the truth, all of it. But I can't force him to forgive her. I don't even know if I've fully forgiven her yet. I get that, Emma said quietly. And whatever you choose, I'm here for you. For both of you. I nodded, feeling a quiet sense of relief. I didn't have to make decisions alone anymore. I had someone who would walk beside me, someone who didn't rush me, didn't pressure me. It wasn't about rushing toward some ideal future. It was about building one step at a time, even if that meant saying goodbye to the woman I thought I knew. And when the weekend came, I sat Ryan down and asked him what he wanted. He looked at me, his eyes full of questions, full of quiet strength. "I want to see her," he said finally. "I want to know why she left." And that was the moment I knew. I wasn't doing this for Leah. I was doing it for Ryan. I was doing it for him. The next morning, I took Ryan to see Leah. I didn't expect anything to be easy about it. The tension in the car was thick. He didn't say much on the way there, just stared out the window with that expression he got when he was thinking too hard. I could see the wheels turning in his head, trying to figure out how to process all the conflicting emotions he had. It was a lot for a kid his age to juggle, but I didn't push him to talk. I knew he'd speak when he was ready. I parked outside her apartment, still feeling that knot in my stomach, but I couldn't show it. Not now. This was about him, not me. He needed to have his questions answered, whether he realized it or not. Ryan looked at me, his hands fidgeting in his lap. What if she's different? I glanced at him. She might be. But sometimes different isn't enough to fix everything that's broken. He nodded slowly, processing the weight of that. I just want her to say sorry. I think we both deserve that, I said quietly. When we rang the bell, Leah answered quickly. Her eyes were tired, but there was something else there too. Something hopeful, maybe. Maybe for herself, maybe for us. But I didn't trust it. I couldn't. She stepped aside, motioning for us to come in. "Hi, Ryan," she said softly. "I'm glad you're here." Ryan didn't respond. He just looked at her, like he was waiting for her to say something that would make everything feel like it used to. I stayed near the door, letting them have their space. But I wasn't leaving. I wasn't going anywhere until I knew how this was going to play out. Leah sat down on the couch, and Ryan hesitated for a moment before sitting next to her. His back was stiff, but his hand trembled just slightly, betraying his nerves. "I know things have been hard," Leah started, her voice shaking just a bit. "But I want you to know, Ryan, that I never stopped loving you. That never changed." Ryan didn't look at her. He stared at his hands, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. "Then why did you leave?" I winced. I wanted to say something, but this wasn't my moment. This wasn't about me. Leah took a deep breath. "I made some bad choices. I thought I needed something more than what I had. But in the end, I hurt everyone I love. And I'm sorry. I wish I could take it all back, but I can't." Ryan's shoulders slumped a little, the tension easing, but he still didn't look at her. "I don't get it," he said quietly. "You said you loved us. And then you left. I don't know how to feel about that." "I know," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "I know I hurt you, and I don't expect you to forgive me right now. But I just wanted you to know I'm sorry, that I never wanted to hurt you." Ryan stayed silent for a long moment, and I could see him fighting to decide what to do with all the things she said. Finally, he looked up at her. "Why should I believe you?" Leah's face twisted with that familiar pain. "I can't make you believe me, sweetheart. I can only show you through my actions. I'm trying to do better now. I'm here for you, if you want me to be." I saw a flicker of uncertainty in Ryan's eyes. He didn't want to be angry. He didn't want to push her away. But he was scared. And I couldn't blame him. Leah wiped her eyes and said softly, "I miss you every day. But I understand if you need time. I just want you to know that I'm here, and I'll always love you." Ryan didn't respond immediately. He just stared at her for a while, probably weighing everything he'd heard, everything he felt. Then, slowly, he stood up. "I think I need some time," he said, his voice quiet but firm. He didn't look at her as he walked toward the door. I followed him, giving Leah one last glance before stepping out. As we got into the car, I saw her standing in the doorway, watching us go. Ryan didn't speak for the whole drive home. I didn't push him. He didn't need me to say anything. I just wanted to make sure he knew I was there, that I always would be. I could feel the weight of the conversation sitting between us, but he was processing it all in his own way. When we got home, I made him his favorite dinner, spaghetti and garlic bread, a meal that always made him smile. We ate in silence, but I knew it was the kind of silence that said he was okay. Later, as I tucked him into bed, he gave me a small, tight hug. "Thanks, Dad," he said. "For what?" I asked, brushing his hair from his forehead. "For being there. For not letting me be alone with all of this." I smiled softly, brushing my thumb over his cheek. "You're never alone, buddy." And as I turned off the light and closed the door behind me, I realized something. Leah had made her choices. She had to live with them, but Ryan, he wasn't alone anymore. And that was the difference. The next few weeks passed quietly. Leah didn't make any more attempts to reach out, and Ryan seemed to settle back into his routine. The anger, the confusion, the sadness, he didn't talk much about it, but I could see it in the way he held himself, the way he looked at things with a cautious distance. At school, his teachers told me he was performing well, but they also noticed a shift. Less energetic than before, more withdrawn during group activities. It wasn't anything major, but it was enough for them to mention it to me. That night, I sat down with him over dinner, just the two of us, the air warm with the smell of chicken stir-fry. "You good, buddy?" I asked, picking up my fork. He nodded but didn't meet my eyes. "Yeah, just tired. Anything you want to talk about?" I said, gently pushing. I wasn't trying to pry. I just wanted him to know that if he needed to unload, I was here. He hesitated, then shrugged. "I dunno. I guess I just miss her sometimes. But I'm not sure I'm supposed to." I set my fork down and looked at him directly. "You don't have to apologize for that. You miss her because she's your mom. And no matter what happened, that won't change. But it's okay to miss her and still feel hurt by what she did." He looked up at me, his eyes full of uncertainty. "But I don't know how to feel. One day I want to go see her, and the next, I'm scared she'll hurt me again." "You don't have to figure it out all at once," I said, pushing my plate aside. "And you definitely don't have to do it alone. You can miss her, you can be angry at her, you can even feel confused. But those feelings don't have to control you. You're allowed to feel all of it. It's okay." He took a deep breath, his eyes searching mine for reassurance. "So, what do I do?" "Whatever feels right for you," I said softly. "When you're ready, you can talk to her again. But when you do it for you. Not because she's asking for it, or because you think you should." He nodded slowly, like a weight had lifted off his chest. "I think I understand." Later that night, as he drifted off to sleep, I sat in the living room, replaying everything Leah had said in that apartment. Her apology, the tears, the broken promises. But the truth was, I wasn't mad anymore. I didn't even hate her. I just felt nothing. She didn't deserve my anger, and she sure as hell didn't deserve my forgiveness. But she had to live with what she'd done, and I had to live with the fact that I'd allowed it to happen for so long. The hardest part, accepting that the woman I loved, the one I built my life around, was a stranger now. She wasn't just a memory. She was a ghost of who I thought she was. And I wasn't going to chase shadows anymore. Emma and I kept things simple. There was no rush to label anything, no need for grand declarations. We spent time together. We did things, sometimes with Ryan, sometimes just the two of us. We weren't trying to rebuild each other, we were just building a new foundation, a new rhythm. And with that came a kind of peace I hadn't expected. One Friday afternoon, a month after the meeting with Leah, Emma and I took Ryan to the beach. It was one of those perfect fall days where the sun felt warm on your skin, but the air had just enough of a chill to make you feel alive. Ryan and Emma ran ahead, collecting seashells along the shore. I stayed back, just watching them, feeling a calm settle deep in my bones. Emma noticed me standing there, lost in thought, and walked over. "You good?" she asked, nudging me with her elbow. "Yeah," I said, smiling at her. "Just thinking about how far we've come in such a short time." She tilted her head, her smile soft and genuine. "You don't have to thank me. I'm not here to fix anything." "I know," I said, "but you've made everything feel lighter. Like there's room to breathe again." She took my hand, her fingers warm against mine. "You've always been capable of breathing on your own. You just needed someone to remind you." I kissed her forehead, feeling the weight of those words. She was right. I had always been capable. I'd just forgotten. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the sand, Ryan came running back to us, a triumphant grin on his face. "Look what I found," he said, holding up a large, beautifully smooth shell. "It's perfect." I knelt down beside him, taking the shell in my hand. It was smooth, polished by the ocean, worn but still beautiful. I smiled, placing it gently in his palm. You know, sometimes the best things come from the hardest places, I said quietly. Ryan looked up at me, puzzled. This shell, I continued, it wasn't always perfect, but it's been through a lot. The ocean's waves, the sand, the salt. And now, it's here, ready to be something new. He smiled. Like me. Exactly like you. And for the first time in a long while, I felt like maybe everything was going to be okay. Maybe Leah's choices had changed everything, but they hadn't taken away the one thing that really mattered, my son, my strength, my ability to keep moving forward. The days that followed felt like a slow, steady push toward healing. I'd gotten used to the silence between Ryan and me when we talked about Leah. It wasn't an uncomfortable silence anymore. It was just the space we needed to process things in our own time. Every now and then, he'd bring her up. A song on the radio that reminded him of her, a joke she used to tell, a memory he couldn't quite shake. I didn't rush him to move past it. I didn't have the answers, but I was learning to listen more than I spoke. Emma was there through it all. She never tried to be anything more than what she was, a steady presence. I didn't need her to save me, but I needed her to remind me what normal could feel like. A simple smile, a shared cup of coffee in the morning, a gentle laugh over something stupid I'd said. There were no grand gestures, no promises of a perfect future, just two people who understood what it meant to move forward in the wake of loss. It wasn't healing me, but it was helping me stay whole. That Saturday, I took Ryan to the park for his usual soccer game. Emma came along with me, of course, but this time, Leah showed up unannounced. I saw her standing at the edge of the field, her face hidden behind the crowd, her eyes scanning for us. When she noticed me looking, she didn't wave. She didn't even try to approach. She just stood there, awkward and unsure of herself, watching from a distance. Ryan saw her too. "Dad, is that Mom?" he asked, his voice soft and cautious. I didn't want to make him feel like he had to choose or give her any more weight than she deserved. So I shrugged, keeping my tone neutral. "Yeah, but you don't have to talk to her if you don't want to." He didn't answer right away. Instead, he focused on the soccer ball rolling away from him. He kicked it back to the group, but his eyes kept darting to where Leah stood, motionless, on the edge of the field. The longer she stayed there, the more awkward everything felt. Leah looked small from where I stood, like a person who didn't know how to fit into the life they once had. I couldn't find the words to tell Ryan to stay away or to approach her. This wasn't about me anymore. This was about him. After a few more minutes of lingering, Leah left. No words, no farewell. She just walked to her car and drove off. Ryan didn't mention it again. He didn't seem affected. But I knew the questions were there. The ones he couldn't quite voice. That night, I sat with him on the couch, the glow of the TV casting shadows across the room. He had his arm around Murphy, and I didn't want to interrupt the silence. But I knew I had to ask, "How are you feeling about today?" I said, my voice gentle. He didn't look up from the screen. "I don't know. You can talk to me, Ryan, if you want to." He nodded, but it wasn't until the end of the show that he spoke again. "I don't know if I'm mad or sad or just confused." I took a deep breath. "I get that. I do. I just wish she didn't keep doing things like that. It's like she's here one day, then she's gone the next. It doesn't make sense." It hurt to hear him say that. Not because I didn't understand, but because I realized that I couldn't fix this for him. I could support him, guide him, but this was something he'd have to carry. And he would. In his own time, in his own way. "I can't make her change, Bud," I said quietly. "But I can promise you this, you don't have to carry that weight by yourself." Ryan looked up at me then, his face a mixture of uncertainty and gratitude. "Thanks, Dad." I smiled. "Anytime, kiddo." The following week, I saw Leah again. This time, she didn't show up at a park or an event. She came by the house. She knocked early on a Saturday morning, while Ryan was still asleep. When I opened the door, she stood there, her face drawn, tired. The way she used to look after one of her long shifts at the clinic. "I know you're probably not happy to see me," she said, looking at her shoes. "But I just wanted to say, I've been trying to do better. For Ryan, for myself. I'm not asking for anything, Colton. I just wanted to let you know that I'm working on it." I didn't invite her inside, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to hear her excuses. I didn't want to feel like I had to give her anything. The damage was done, and I wasn't in the business of fixing something that wasn't mine to fix anymore. But I also couldn't shut her out completely. Not from Ryan. "Just keep showing up when it matters," I said, my voice firm but calm. "For him. Not for me." For him. She nodded, wiping her eyes quickly. I will. I'm trying, Colton. I promise. I didn't say anything else. I just stepped back and closed the door quietly behind me. Ryan woke up an hour later, and when he asked if his mom came by, I didn't sugarcoat it. I told him exactly what happened, keeping it simple and to the point. She's trying, Ryan, I said. But you don't have to carry her mistakes. You get to decide what your relationship with her looks like. You don't owe her anything. You owe yourself the truth. He nodded and went back to his room without saying much. But I could tell by the way he didn't ask any more questions that something in him was starting to heal. Maybe slowly, maybe quietly, but it was healing. A few weeks later, everything felt stable. Not perfect, not by any means. There were still days where Ryan would sit by the window, staring out at nothing, lost in thought. There were still moments when I'd catch him holding that shell from the beach, tapping it softly with his finger, as though he was trying to make sense of it all. But we were getting there. We were learning how to rebuild after everything had been shattered. I didn't hear from Leah for a while. The silence, while odd, became a comfort. It wasn't the dead silence that came from avoidance or hurt. It was the kind of silence that allowed space for growth, for change. It wasn't just my life that was shifting. I could see it in Ryan too. He wasn't asking for her anymore. Not for her approval, not for her forgiveness. He was asking for peace. And that, I knew, would come in his time. Then one night, 3 months after Leah's visit, I received a letter. It wasn't from her. It was from Ryan's school. They had scheduled a parent-teacher conference, and as I looked over the email, I felt a slight ripple of unease. I'd seen Ryan's progress. I'd heard from his teachers that he was adjusting well, though there had been a few rough patches. Still, his grades were solid. He was engaging in class. It wasn't a sudden shift, but I figured it wouldn't hurt to go and hear their thoughts. The next day, I showed up at the school. Ryan's teacher, Miss Pierce, was kind but direct. I've seen great improvement in Ryan's performance, but there's something we need to address. I nodded, leaning forward. What's going on? She paused. There's a lot of promise there, Colton. But there are moments when I can tell something's weighing on him. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but he tends to retreat when he's feeling overwhelmed. And while he's excelling in his work, he's struggling with managing his emotions, especially when it comes to the more personal aspects of his life. I bit my lip. I get that. I've been trying to keep things normal for him, but I know it hasn't been easy. I know you're doing your best, Ms. Pierce said. But I think he needs an outlet. Not just in schoolwork. He needs a way to express what he's feeling. I thought about that. About how Ryan had never really opened up about his emotions. He'd never really let me in when it came to how he was feeling about everything. About Leah, about the breakup, about his mom leaving. I left the meeting with a quiet weight hanging over me. I wanted to fix it, to just pull Ryan close and tell him everything was going to be okay. But I knew I couldn't. Not unless he wanted it. When I got home, Ryan was sitting at the kitchen table, working on his homework. I watched him for a moment before speaking. Hey, bud, can we talk? He looked up, a small smile on his face. Sure, Dad. What's up? I sat down next to him, trying to find the right words. You've been doing really well in school. I'm proud of you. He nodded, still focused on the math problem in front of him. Thanks. But I want to make sure you're okay, I continued. You don't have to carry anything alone. And if you ever need to talk, I'm here. Ryan hesitated, his pencil tapping against the paper. For a long time, he didn't say anything. And then, quietly, he spoke. I don't know how to talk about it. It's like I'm always thinking about Mom and what happened. And sometimes, I just don't want to. I leaned forward, my heart tightening in my chest. You don't have to talk about anything you're not ready for. But it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel sad. You're allowed to have those feelings, Ryan. And I'm not going anywhere. He didn't say anything for a while, but the way he looked at me then, it wasn't the look of the angry, confused kid I had seen so many times before. It was a look of relief, like he could finally let down the walls he'd built up inside. Thanks, Dad, he whispered, and it was more than just words. It was the beginning of something new. Later that week, I took him to the park after school. Just the two of us. I didn't expect much, just some time to breathe, to be present. We sat on the grass, watching the dogs run around, and I realized something. We'd survived the worst of it. Leah had moved on. And Ryan? He was slowly finding his way through the maze of confusion, hurt, and hope. And me? I wasn't where I wanted to be just yet, but I was closer than I'd been in years. And as we walked back to the truck, Ryan stopped and turned to me, a soft smile on his face. I think I'm ready to see Mom again. I felt a knot tighten in my chest. You don't have to do anything you're not ready for. He shook his head. I'm ready. I just want to know what she's going to say. I want to know that she's really sorry. That she means it. I nodded, a lump in my throat. Okay, we'll do it when you're ready. But no rush. We drove home in silence, but it was a peaceful kind of quiet. And for the first time in months, I believed him when he said he was ready. It wasn't about forgiveness. It was about healing. And we were getting there.